Hey, g'day everybody. Welcome to another lovely Friday morning. I hope you're having a wonderful morning, or you've probably already gone through the day if you're in Australia. Today I'm just going to talk about a couple of things. A couple of very important items that really must belong in every protocol regardless of who you're working with. Let's think about this for a minute. Over the last 10, 11 years, I've worked with over 10,000 people. I've worked with clients all over the world. And there's very few conditions, illnesses or diseases that I haven't helped clients with. Everything from chronic fatigue to cancer to cardiovascular disease, strokes, you name it. And, one of the biggest aspects of this work and working with all these people is you get to see all the structures, all the patterns that have led to people getting ill in the first place. So I get to see very, very common patterns. And through that process of understanding and seeing this, no matter where you are, whether you're living in America, you're living in Australia, you live in the UK, you're living in Poland, you live in Alaska, it doesn't really matter. There are two items that I include right at the top of every one of my protocols for the very good reason that I know that this is something that people are missing, and they're fundamental. Yeah, I guess, I'd have to say, although the protocols that I create for my clients, they're all customized, but there are some very fundamental items in that apply to everyone. And I'm just going to quickly chat about two of the top two items that I put in every protocol, because they're fundamental and they're what a lot of people are missing out on, they're not doing. Okay, and I'm just going to briefly just talk about them. I'm not going to go into too much detail. But I want you to think about this because they're very, very important, all right? I see this all the time, all right? I see some amazing things with this work. I see some amazing patterns and structure to people's illnesses. There are thousands of them. I know them all. I know them all off by heart because I've seen so many and I look at so much. But right at the top, and we talk about this a lot, and you're probably already aware of this, and that's grounding or earthing, or balancing our electrical circuits. Now just think about this for 1 minute. Essentially, what is a human being? Well, what are we made of? Well, essentially we're electrical chemical beings. Now, if we're electrical chemical beings, doesn't it make sense that if we're going to do any work on ourselves, we want to thrive, we want to have vitality, we want to get well or don't get sick in the first place, is we must look at balancing these systems out. So grounding, earthing. And when I say grounding and earthing, you must remember there are grounding devices, there are grounding mats, there are grounding sheets that you can actually put on your bed. You don't necessarily need to go walking in the forest. Walking in the forest is great. There's other aspects of, just the whole experience of walking in the forest and being out in nature and being close to the vibration of nature is obviously very beneficial, but it's not critical for grounding. I would have to say, and I'm going to be talking about this in my book, in my first of my series of books, which hopefully will be out in December, at Christmas time. I would have to say that if we were to sort of narrow down and try and identify one of the biggest problems that they're facing society, humanity, in regards to health and healing and vitality, is the fact that we're walking around in rubber-soled shoes. We're isolating our bodies from the earth, and that's not meant to happen. Okay, being electrical beings, you can imagine this. If we don't balance out this electrical circuitry, which means when we do have imbalances, when we do have excess energy in our body, we do have static energy in our body and whatnot, if we do not balance this out, you get chaos in the body. All right. And when I say chaos in the body, what can happen? Well, just think about a brain telling the body what to do and the body not being able to tell the brain what it did. This is one of them. Okay, and because we end up with these blockages, these electrical blockages, things just can't happen as well as they could be, and the body gets confused. And when the body gets confused, it goes into chaos. And when the body goes into chaos, all hell goes to loose. Like it's things start going wrong. The body doesn't know what to do, and then it starts to fight fires. And when it's fighting fires, it's using a lot of energy to do this. And this is energy the body should be using to be able to keep you in health, to give you energy or to fix things. Okay. So it's really, 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 really important on a regular basis to do some grounding, or get a grounding device or a grounding sheet. Okay, now you think about a grounding sheet. Just think about this for 1 minute. What are we talking about when we're grounding anyway? Well, a lot of you probably already know this, but the surface of the Earth is covered in electrons. Okay, and then the electrons are negatively charged. It's this negatively charged electrons that we need in our body, not just to balance out the electrical circuitry, but to also balance out oxidation, balance out degeneration, balance out the corrosiveness that we have when we're not eating properly. We're eating processed foods that are very corrosive. We're taking toxic drugs that are very corrosive. We have very toxic thoughts that are very corrosive. So the Earth is covered in electrons, and you can imagine, just say for instance, don't worry about going for a walk in the bush or walking in nature, or walking on the beach, which is very, very good. Say you have a grounding sheet. Now you can imagine going to bed and having a drip in your arm, and having antioxidants fed into your body all night long. That's what's happening when you're doing the grounding. Okay, they're healing. These electrons are healing. Okay, they are anionic. They're negatively charged, and anything negatively charged in our body promotes flow, as well as electrical flow, but also biochemical flow and everything else. All right, so I really believe that that's one of the biggest problems facing humanity and facing the issues with health. I know we've got lots of problems with toxins and all this sort of stuff, and we know that's going on. But to be honest, the body is quite capable of dealing with a lot of this stuff, if only it had the fundamentals in place so it could do the job it needs to do. Okay, and I would say, from my experience, that people not grounding is one of the big issues. And unless you do this grounding, unless you do normalize and equalize this electrical flow through the body can't do its job of healing. Well, it can't do it very well. And if it can't do it very well, you're going to struggle. You'll be up and down like a yo-yo. Okay, so I think there's a movie called the Earthing movie, or the Grounding movie. I put it on my list with my protocol. I put a link on there. I can't remember what it's called, but please get into it, look at it. It's these simple things that a lot of people completely underestimate that have so much impact on our lives, because we're all looking for the complex answers, and it's not complex. There's nothing complex about healing, I can promise you. We live in a complex world more than anything else, but it's like the grounding is not complex. It makes bloody sense, and if you watch the movie, it really explains in detail why it is so important. Okay, get a grounding sheet, get a grounding mat, get a grounding device. You can get a grounding device, plug it into the wall of your house, and your house is grounded, of course, and you can actually put a patch. You can put a patch on your body. If you've got a sore neck, put a patch on your neck. Okay, now you're pumping electrons, you're pumping this healing into this spot in your neck and it can actually make a difference. All right, so grounding, that's at the very top. Because we're electrical chemical beings, all right, and I'm a very logical person. Okay, and I like to keep things very, very simple, because things are very, very simple. It's not meant to be complex. All right, the other item I put at the top of every list, and it's pretty obvious, and I talk about this a lot, and that is hydration. Making sure we drink enough water. Once again, I've done thousands and thousands and thousands of people, and I can say the majority of them are dehydrated. We live in a seriously dehydrated world. Okay, now you think about this. I'm not going to go into too much detail on this, because you all sort of know, but I just want to highlight the importance, if you're an adult, to drink at least 2 liters of water. That's on top of all the foods you eat, the the vegetables you eat, the fruits that you eat that are high in water. This is on top of that. This doesn't include that, okay? But just think about hydration. If we don't have hydration, we don't have flow. If we don't have flow, we don't have life. All right? All biological transactions, biochemistry can't happen without hydration. So it is any wonder when we're dehydrated, we start to run into these problems. How do we get nutrition into the cells? How do we ship them? How do we transport them into the cells? We need hydration. How do we transport toxins out of the cells? The toxic, to be able to detox, we need hydration. Okay? Our brain alone needs about 1.5 to 2 liters a day to be able to operate efficiently, effectively, or optimally. Okay? So I just want to highlight the importance of, please start drinking water. And if you're not drinking water, or you're not drinking too much, get into the habit and start working up to 2 to 3 liters a day. I would even advise just to try this. If you think you're a little bit dehydrated, feeling a little bit down, feeling a little bit mentally drained, feeling a little bit of anxiety, feeling a little bit of depression, okay, drink 1 to 2 liters of water as soon as you can. And just see, you will notice the difference within probably 15 to 20 minutes, all right? And I know a lot of you are saying, oh yeah, but if I drink all this water, I can't stop peeing. Yeah, that can happen because your body needs to relearn the importance of drinking water. You can drink a load more water, it's not necessarily going to use it straight away. Okay, it's going to take a little bit of time, but you've got to stick to it. Right, don't underestimate this, all right? Because I get to every client I get to, nearly every client I get to, when I get to that point, I say, right, hydration. I can almost guarantee nearly every one of them. It's, I know. I go, come on, you're going to all this trouble. You're paying me to help you. You're paying me to do this consultant. You're paying me to do all these tests. You're not even doing the most basic fundamental thing you need for healing to happen and to health to be able to optimize. It's really important. It's crazy that we're not doing it, and I don't know why. Okay, and I guess the other thing I'll say with water, and this is really important, we live, one of the biggest issues I see with every client is poor digestion. And one of the biggest areas when we talk about poor digestion, I mean, there's a lot of issues, low stomach acid, problems with, with the liver and whatnot, but the gallbladder. Gallbladder is one of the biggest issues I see. I say the gallbladder is probably the most important organ in the body because I would say nearly 100% of every client I work with is having problem getting sufficient bile into their system because the gallbladder is struggling. Why is the gallbladder struggling? Because it's dehydrated. And the gallbladder is one of these organs that the gallbladder likes to work, but it can get lazy too, and it starts getting dehydrated. It takes a long time to get it rehydrated, and we don't get the hydration, we don't get the flow, well, we're not getting digestion, we're not liberating the minerals, we're not assimilating those minerals, we're not getting the fats. If we don't get the fats, we've got 50 to 70 trillion cells in our body that require these fats. Is it any wonder we have these problems? The other thing I would say, and one of the reasons why this is such a big problem, I think, you think about it, how we're brought up when we sit down for a meal, or we go out to a restaurant. What's the first thing that happens when you go out for a restaurant? You sit down on the table for a meal. Oh, good evening, sir. You sit down on the table. Well, what would you like to drink? Or, as I would say, how would you like to ruin digestion for this meal? Okay, so I want to emphasize the importance that when you eat a meal, do not drink anything. All right. Maybe a glass of wine won't be too bad, but even then, it's not going to add too much value. But definitely not water. Maybe you've got to drink a little bit of water when you're taking some supplements. That's okay. But just think about it. You're eating a meal. Your stomach acid is about 1.5 to 2 pH. What happens when you drink a glass of water? It's going to be 7 pH. What happens when you drink that water? What's it going to do? It's going to dilute the acidity. What does that mean? Does it mean that the digestion is completely compromised? Well, there's a varying degree of that. Everyone's going to be a little bit different, but it does compromise a little bit. But what it does do, it really pushes the body and puts a lot of stress on the body because the body has to make so much more stomach acid, okay? It has to make up for that diluted 7 pH into a 1.5. All right, if it doesn't do that, you're not going to get digestion. You're not going to get the chemistry of assimilation and liberation of minerals and whatnot. Okay, so that's, you know, that's, I see that as one of the biggest problems. Hang on. Yeah, okay, so if you're going to drink any water, maybe drink about half an hour before, and maybe an hour afterwards you can drink some water. But if you don't do that, you're going to eat a meal and you're going to feel tired afterwards. Why? Because your body's using so much energy to put into digestion. Okay, when you eat a meal, about an hour afterwards, you should feel very satisfied. You shouldn't feel hungry. You shouldn't feel bloated. You shouldn't have any burps. You should have energy. All right, and I can almost guarantee a lot of you watching this video, when you eat a meal, you feel tired afterwards. Why? Because you're burning more energy to be able to manage that digestion, to be able to increase that HCl because you're drinking too much. You're drinking water while you're having a meal. You're burning more energy than you're actually making through eating that meal. And it's pretty obvious that, you know, the consequences of that happening. What's going to happen is your body's not going to really do too much. All right, it's just going to get tired. And some people will eat a meal and they'll fall asleep an hour afterwards. Do you really think that meal gave them any energy? No, it took it away. All right. Okay, look, I could, when I say I could write a book about this, well, I'm going to write a book about this, but I'm not going to go into too much detail here. But, you know, do some grounding, look into the grounding, do some drinking, hydrate properly, a minimum of 2 liters a day if you're an adult, maybe 3 ideally. All right. And one other thing too, when you do drink, when you wake up in the morning, what's the first thing you need to do? You need to give your liver a gift. How do you do that? You need to flush it. How do you do that? You've got to hydrate. And if you can hydrate and use some MSM, some organic sulfur, and maybe some lemon as well, you're going to give the body a gift in the morning. You're going to prepare the body for the day, all right? So when you drink first thing in the morning, don't drink a coffee first thing in the morning. Don't drink a fizzy drink or a soda or whatever, all right, or a cup of tea and stuff like that. Just imagine what you're doing to your body for that. Prepare your body for the day. And when you drink this water, wait at least half an hour before you eat anything, all right? Now, if you wait half an hour before you eat anything, the body is going to release that water and it's actually going to go into the liver, or a lot of it's going to go into the liver. If you drink some water in the morning and you eat straight away afterwards, it's going to keep that in the stomach, and it's going to use it to help with digestion. You're not going to get much of it out there. So make sure you wait at least half an hour, all right? Now, if you do that, if you do some grounding on a regular basis, you see me, I post pictures all the time. I'm always grounding as much as I can. I try and ground every day. If you do that and you drink sufficient hydration and really put some emphasis on that and some commitment on that, and I know a lot of people don't, because for some reason it's too hard for them. They'd rather spend all this money on wonderful supplements that do nothing anyway. I can almost guarantee that you're going to start feeling the difference. You're going to have more energy. You're going to feel more flow in the body. Your head's going to be a little bit more clear. You're going to have some more clarity. Your eyes are going to be brighter. Your sight's going to be brighter. And you're going to feel a little bit better. And essentially what you're doing is then you're starting to provide the foundation for healing to begin, the foundation to health to optimize, all right? It needs a foundation, it needs a core foundation, and it's all these things. There's a number of other things, and I'll talk about them down the track. It's the fundamentals, it's these very basic things that we're missing out on, and we're trying to add in things at this level, when at this level we're not even got a body that's prepared or are able to manage the process, okay? All right, well, you have a good Friday. It's time for coffee. I've had my water. I've had my MSM. I've had my goodness this morning. All right, so you have a good Friday, and we'll talk again soon. Bye-bye.